Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to the channel here at 15 Good Minutes. It's your guy, Coach B, and I'm here with my guy, Freddie. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, and you?
Doing well, doing well.
Just enjoyed our pre-taping discussion. It was, it's good to have those type of discussions, man. JR, we miss you. Would have loved
miss you, buddy. And I know when you get back, we will pick up that conversation that we had between the three of us. It was very good. And to our audience, JR is doing a lot better. He is rehabbing. He hit me up this morning. He was kind of on the fence about doing the show, and Freddie had told him last night, look, man, take your time, rehab yourself. We need you back 100%, not 50 or 60.
Yeah, and you know good to us at 50.
That's what I'm saying. So glad you guys are here. Actually, we're gonna center today's show around last week's question of the week, which was basically you're the GM of your own NBA franchise, and you have the opportunity now to build your new team, around any one active player. Who would that be? So we got a couple of responses in, and I'll tell you this, Freddie, and then I'll turn it over to you. All the responses that we got in on Twitter and the ones that I got on DM, every one of them said Giannis. Who would you pick?
Giannis.
Why?
Because Giannis, he is a very selfless player. He doesn't look for all the, the fame, all the notoriety. Giannis does not come to the stadium in full length fur coats and all the shades and all the paparazzi. Him playing the game and being his best version of himself and for his team and for his city that he represents. I think it means more to him than all this other stuff. And I think he just plays the game the right way. Is he perfect? Is there things I would like to see him be better at? Like, yeah, having a better consistent jump shot and everything.
I think you're spot on. And although we didn't ask for, when we put the question out, we just wanted a name, and that's the name that we got. And I got to assume that a lot of the reasons are because of the things that you said. I believe that he just loves the game. I think you and I were talking about this last week off air about why it appears that some foreign-born players appreciate their time in the league differently than American-born players. But when and to your point, I chose Giannis as well. I see a certain joy when he plays. I see a certain level of effort when he plays. And when I say that, I don't mean like Russell Westbrook. If you'd have asked me this question several years ago, there was a time I would have wanted to build my team around Russ because I felt nobody works harder. But now I think Russ is at a point, again, where he just has this one speed, and it's 110 miles an hour, and I'll never question his hustle. Giannis is cerebral, man. You know what I mean? He sees things. He adapts to things. I think he can guard 1 to 5. To your point, there are things that not a big fan of, with him, particularly at the 3. But if I had to build a franchise today, he would be far and away my first choice as well.
Yeah, he definitely is. He's a wonderful player.
The good thing when you talk about Giannis, man, is, he's won a championship and has tasted that. I honestly think that if the Bucks organization does a better job of bringing a little more talent into Milwaukee, I don't think he has a problem staying. I'm not saying that he's going to get a big contract, but I don't think he'll hold off for an additional $10 or $20 based on that. And he doesn't have to chase a ring because he's got a ring. So he doesn't have to say bigger market, New York, LA, things like that. I do think that Milwaukee now, and people like playing with Giannis. They did a great interview during the All-Star game this year and talking to other NBA players. And he is what you see on camera. He's a joy to work with. So if you can get that mid-tier NBA guy who's starting to maybe tip over in terms of longevity, bring him into Milwaukee for a couple of years, I think they could no fooling get another championship.
But see, the thing about that is, with Milwaukee, it's a smaller market, right? You're not going Giannis, whether it be 5 years, 300 million, whatever the figure could be, down the line, right? The question becomes like, what can you get outside of the NBA? Does he want the pizza deal? Does he want an American Express? Does he want a Ford or GM? Right. And that's one of the things to bring in additional talent. Those guys, Chris Middleton and Holiday, and those are the perfect guys to pair with him right now because they're not big ego guys. Right.
Well, I think what you're going to see now, and tell me if you think he's earned this. We talked about this before as well, where good, bad, or indifferent, LeBron heavily influenced the teammates that were chosen in the offseason. I now believe that Giannis has earned that right as well. So when you talk about players that may or may not be coming over, I think he gets last vote. You know what I mean? For that very reason. And if you're a player, Freddie, in the NBA that maybe hasn't won a championship, you as that player have to be willing to sacrifice the fact that you're not in New York, LA, and et cetera, if playing with a great player like Giannis is on your agenda.
Hey man, I'm in my mid late 20s, early primes. There's no nightlife in Milwaukee. What we gonna go do? Go to get sauces and cheese and whatnot. I mean, that's just the reality. And guess what? I like sauces and I like cheese, so I'm not knocking the city of Milwaukee or whatever. But when you are trying to attract top level players, and when you have other places, say New York. Now, New York and Los Angeles or California in general. Now you got to deal with that, that state income tax. So they're gonna get you on a whole different level. But when you look at the Miami Heat, right? Jimmy Butler left Philly, went to Miami, and I was talking to a friend about this, the other day. In my opinion, Jimmy Butler is a star. He's not a superstar. However, he meshes with the culture of their organization. Not to mention, it's South Beach. I don't know if Jimmy is married or not. I would assume he probably is. But the culture and the fit and everything, not to mention being the nightlife, if he so chooses to indulge in it, as well as, the overall not paying, because $30 million a year in Florida is totally different than $30 million a year in California,
most other states,
or New York or Illinois. Right. Now maybe, this discussion could apply to someone, hell, if they want to come to Texas, right? Texas, no state income tax. Dallas is on and popping. Houston is on and popping. San Antonio, whatever. So it's just really, just a matter of what these guys want. And I think from a cultural standpoint, the players, the up and coming players, they have a pocket full of money. Do they really desire a championship, or do they desire the money in the perks of being in the limelight?
And that's going to be that's the big decision. I think there are a lot of good young talent in the NBA now, and I really enjoy watching it more than I did say in years past. I think in some instances you could build a team around Ja Morant. I think in some instances you could look at somebody like a Trae Young, or like you mentioned before, Devin Booker and Jason Tatum. A lot of really good talent there. What I want to wrap with though is now you're this GM and you've chosen Giannis. Who's your head coach going to be?
For Giannis? Oh, you mean currently now in the NBA?
I mean,
I'm building the team.
You're building a team, and you have to pick an active head coach from today. You have your star player. Now you're going to go out and hire your head coach. Who's playing for who's leading the squad that Freddie is the GM of?
I would go with Steve Kerr.
That's not a bad choice.
I would. And the reason, some people might say Eric Spoelstra and that, some people. I didn't say you, but some. I personally don't think Eric Spoelstra is Spoelstra. How do you say his name? I think he's given more credit than he actually deserves.
I think he's good.
I definitely think he's a good coach. I think it all stems from the old New York Knicks philosophy with Pat Riley down, and you get those blue collar guys that come in, and you have the attraction of South Beach. If you look at the makeup of the Miami Heat squad, is very similar. All the players, the mentality, the mindset is no guys want to be the guy necessarily. It's just we're gonna come in, play hard, and compete. And so when you have that and everybody's bought in, I think it's easier to win and be as productive as they have been. I don't know if he's a good coach. I think he's just more so have been benefited from the environment, the infrastructure, if you will. And
that's fine. But so you standing behind Steve Kerr.
Yes.
He would be your leader. I think I would go with I'm torn, but I'm going to say Billy Donovan. And I say that because I think today's NBA, obviously, the players getting younger and younger. Billy's won really two titles, I think, at Florida in college. Right. I think he's good for young players. If I didn't go with Billy, I would probably go with Jason Kidd. I like him. Yes, I like him as a head coach. The way that I don't think you need to be a former player, but there are a lot of former players out there. To your point, Steve Kerr's a former player, but in 2022, the ability to bond with this younger talent, like I think Billy does, and like I think Jason does, I think would be huge. So for me, if I could take the two to dinner and work out a contract where I could get one of them to be the associate head coach and the other to be the head coach, that would be my tag team. But if you force me to only choose one, it'd probably be Billy Donovan. So that's good stuff. I like that because we're still in the midst of the NBA playoffs, more specifically the conference finals, before we get into the finals themselves. So we appreciate the feedback that we got from all of our listeners and watchers. And apparently Giannis is the undeniable choice with which to build a franchise around. Freddie and I would have a difference of opinion in terms of coaches, and we'll at some point get JR to weigh in, but it's all good stuff. Before we leave, we got the question of the week, which has nothing to do with what we just talked about, but a lot to do with what Freddie and I were talking about for the hour or so before we joined today. So here's the question of the week, and I'm gonna pare it down so that you can just answer this. How many times? No, let me rephrase. I was going to ask you how many times do you check your bank account, but what I really want to know is how frequently do you go online to check the status of your bank account or bank accounts? I'm going to repeat that. How frequently do you go online to check the status of your bank account or bank accounts? We really would like you guys to weigh in without giving anything away. One of us is every few days. One of us is every few hours. I'm not going to say who does which or why. We're going to talk about it next week. But I'm curious.
Can I? I'm the one that every 3-4 hours. I'm that one. So it's
listen. Be fair with you though. If I had to guess, and we can ask him, I think JR is in your camp as opposed to being in my camp. And there's no right or wrong answer, folks. I'm just curious because for me, every 4 or 5 days is fine, as opposed to every 4 or 5 hours. So you guys are listeners. You got your money out there. Everybody does some form of online banking. How frequently are you in that account just to check the status? Hit us up on Twitter, 15 Good Minutes, or right here on youtube.com/15 Good Minutes. And we will definitely let you guys know the results of that as we open up next week's show. Freddie, you're traveling again this week, so safe travels, buddy. We will be in touch.
Check those bank accounts, man. It's a lot of grifters out there, a lot of shysters trying to get you. Check those accounts, people.
We'll make sure that they do that. And JR, we look forward to your return soon. Hope you are doing well, my friend. To our listeners and our viewers, thanks for joining. We'll see you next week.
All right.